Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's right, I homeschool. I'm Mrs. T, and boy, I'm so excited for today's video. We are going to be talking about some cheap, free, or more long-term objects that you can use in place of some very popular preschooling items. Before we get any further, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because we have so much more content coming out related to both homeschooling, preschool, different topics that I think you will really enjoy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into it. All right, so full disclosure, okay? I'm just gonna be completely honest here. Every single one of these products that I am sharing with you today are things that I have personally purchased and we have used multiple times in our house. I'm not saying that these are bad products. In fact, we have really enjoyed them. But as we've started to use them, I just realized that there are better options out there that are either more affordable or something that will last longer than that you can still get these same lessons out of. So the very first item I want to talk about are the infamous, very popular counting bears. All right, so this is the one that we have. It is 80 Bears from Learning Resources, and there are so many different options out there for these plastic counters. If you're not familiar with them, basically what they are little plastic bears or other shapes depending on your set, and they have come in different sizes, different colors, and your child can use them to practice counting, sorting by these different identifying features, and more. And they are really fun. My kid in particular likes them for like pattern recognition games. However, one of these little boxes can cost from anywhere from like $20 to $35. And sometimes you can get them a little bit cheaper because they do go on sale, or there are some knockoff brands or smaller quantities that you can purchase. But at the end of the day, your kid is not going to be sitting there practicing their colors and counting and things like that for a very long period of time in the scheme of things. And when you're done with them, they're either going to have to be donated or given to another family, and that's it. Not really useful for your family once you outgrow those skills. So my recommendation are pom-poms. I actually really love pom-poms. You can buy a huge bag of pom-poms both online, in person at craft stores, sometimes even places like Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, etc. And they're great. You can get an assorted number of sizes, colors, textures, and you can have all of the same experiences you would get with counting bears with these pom-poms. Now, the bag I purchased, it had, I think it was like almost 2,000, and it was $10 for a bag of 2,000 pom-poms. And once you're done using it in this way, pom-poms are wonderful for a number of things, including crafts, including a game where you can pile them up and pick them off and practice your fine motor control. And it is just a lot more versatile than these counting bears. All right, object number 2 are water beads. Now, water beads are these little, I'm not gonna say plastic, I actually don't know the material. They're a little material that, these little balls that expand when you put them in water. And the idea here is they're used for sensory play. So your child can put toys in there, their hands, their toes, whatever you wanna put in, and it provides an enriching playing experience. Now, we've both purchased these and we have received a number of water beads through Knowledge Crate, which is one of their preferred objects. Like, they always seem to have water beads that they're giving you. Now, water beads themselves are not expensive. You're looking at 50,000-ish water beads for like $5 to $10. I think actually closer to 10, but they're not expensive. So why are they on this list? Well, my big beef with water beads is that they're just not safe, you guys. Because they expand in liquid and they're really, really tiny, your child or an animal can accidentally consume it, and it can be very dangerous as they expand in your child's stomachs and bodies. And if your child is not someone who's sticking things in their mouth, and this might not be a concern, guarantee once they're thrown away and their usefulness is done, some animal is going to pick it up. And that is at the end of the day, they're just not safe. Especially when there are a lot of different options out there that are more environmentally friendly. So my favorite objects to play with are food. Now, I know we always tell our kid, nope, don't play with your food, eat your dinner, eat your lunch. And I'm here to tell you it's okay to have your kid play with food at certain times when you deem it appropriate. So our favorites have been an assortment of different dried beans and split peas, and they have all sorts of different colors. Beans come in black and white and blue and red and different sizes, different textures. It's great. Rice is another popular one with my kids. In particular, I prefer doing rice when it's dry and you can like change the color of it with Jello or paint or dye. But my kids love it when you cook the rice and then you put the cooked rice in water because it makes it all mushy and icky. But they love it, you guys. They could play in icky rice for a long period of time. It is a hugely popular with them. You can also do noodles. It's very cheap to get some noodles of assorted colors. And again, you can dye it using different other, food dye or Jello. And then my other kids' favorite are ice cubes. Doing ice cubes in just a little bit of water, playing with their Arctic animals, provides a very enriching sensory experience that, again, at the end of the day, with all these different textures that you can get with really cheap, household products, there's no reason to invest in water beads. All right, let's do the next one. Item number 3 on my list here are lacing toys. I'm going to show you a couple of them, but basically there are these usually thicker, almost cardboard usually wooden objects that you get lace and are like shoelaces mostly, and you're able to lace them in and out, and your child is practicing their fine motor control. And these are pretty fun. I have no complaint on the actual object. This particular type of toy comes with a huge variety of options out there. Some of them are really cheap, some of them are a little bit more expensive. I happened to get this Melissa and Doug set, which is the ABCs, and that's a little bit more on the pricier side. But typically you can get some sort of lacing toy for like 15 to 40 bucks. And again, some of them are even less depending on the quantity and where you get them, etc. Now, reality is your kid's not going to need to practice lacing for long periods of time. They're just not. So some really good alternatives that you can do is you can do some at home, make your own. It's easy to get a cardboard box, get something delivered, punch some holes in it, grab some yarn. You can get a large quantity of yarn for like under $5, and you can just have them practice. Now, if you don't want to sit there using a hole punch in cardboard, totally understandable. Grab your strainer and allow your child to do the same motion through a strainer, something that you would like put pasta in to let the water go out. Or even better, we all have shoes and most of our shoes have laces. Let your child practice with real shoes, real laces, real movements. Okay, this one is going to be my smallest little tirade, and that has to do with kinetic sand. This is another sensory experience object for your child. It's more or less sand mixed with what feels like Elmer's glue, and it just kind of comes through your hands in this really fun way. And it is fun. Again, my child does enjoy it. We do play with it still. I won't be buying more though when inevitably it ends up all out. Because let me tell you, sand and mud are free. They're free and they're outside, and there's no reason to get kinetic sand. The best part is when your child is mixing some water with sand and they're testing, they get to really understand. It's really enriching at a whole new level because they get to mess with the textures of the sand and the mud that they're playing with by adding more liquid, by waiting for it to dry. They're going to be able to find things like worms and other bugs that you obviously aren't finding in kinetic sand. And that is a very valuable, enriching experience that's right outside most of our doors. And again, if it's not, they're at local parks. I highly recommend skipping on the kinetic sand and going and experiencing, getting your hands dirty with real mud, real sand, worms, water, the whole shebang. You just don't need a bag of kinetic sand, which goes from like 10 bucks to $35. It's crazy. You just don't need it. Next object here is not an expensive object. but they are from Crayola, and there are other brands, these Color Wonder mess-free sheets. Now we've gotten 2 of them. We've tried Paw Patrol and Baby Shark, and basically what they are, if you haven't seen them, is they come with these little markers that are more or less invisible ink. And when you use it on the pages, it activates the color, and your kids therefore can't make a mess. They can't draw on the table or the walls or their hands or their faces and get a bunch of color everywhere. While I appreciate the concept here, one of these can go for like between $5 and $10, and you can buy a whole pack of markers that will last a lot longer for a comparable price. Now, one of the other things that I would just say about these is, and the reason why I don't particularly care for these, is they really limit your child's creativity. I've had multiple times where my kid is coloring with it and he wants to select a color that's not one of the options. Or he's trying to use the color, but the page is not created in such a way where the color is meant to be activated in that spot. And it does result in a little bit of frustration, and it does stifle creativity. You don't need that, you guys. There are other options out there. Again, regular markers, blank pages, cheap coloring books. You can find a lot of these at the dollar store. You don't need to have these magic mess-free things. Their interest it doesn't stick, and there's just no reason. There's no reason to stifle that creativity, especially when markers these days are extremely washable. They have I think they're called ultra washable Crayola markers, and they have all sorts of them. So I recommend just skipping the mess-free markers if you can. All right, last item here, we have the magnetic letters. There are so many different options out there, you guys, of magnetic letters. That was a little loud, sorry. This is the set that we picked. It was from Joy Note, and they're these little foam letters with some magnet on the back, and it allows your child to practice making words, test letter sounds. You can create patterns. There are actually a lot of things you can do with them, and they are pretty cool. But again, depending on the quality that you get, the company, you can go from $8 to about $30 for a set of these, and they are pretty limited in the sense of, there aren't that many options for these letters. Now, my big recommendation is to do a DIY style. What I've done, and I will share this in a new video with a bunch of different games, is I created my own printable cards. I printed them on colored paper, and my child and I use them, and we introduce them whenever we're ready to work on phonics or a particular letter, a topic, what have you. So my lowercase letters are all on one page, colored page, my uppercases are on another, and then I also printed from the internet different words that start with the different sounds, the different letters, for us to do phonics practice later down the road. Now, if you're like, I'm not a DIY sort of person, I have no desire to do that, that's totally fine. My other recommendation would be to invest in something like Scrabble or Bananagrams. Now, obviously, investing in a game is going to be more costly than these magnetic letters, but they're going to last a lot longer, and the usefulness is going to last for you and your child in different ages. So it's not just going to be putting these individual magnets on there. You're going to be able to play the actual game as they start to get older, and you can also use them to play memory, matching. There are a lot of different options you can do with more of that tile or that card versus the magnetic letter. And while it's fun, of course, to stick magnets on a fridge or your own little magnet whiteboard, it really is not that awesome of an experience that justifies the cost of purchasing your own magnetic alphabet set. Okay, you guys, that was it. That was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, that was six different objects. I have a lot more that I can go into. Let me know down below, comment, tell me what your thoughts are. Are there any objects here that I mentioned that you're like, no, we absolutely need these, and this is why you get this benefit? Or do you think some of these options would work for you? Again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Keep your eyes open because I have more videos coming that I think will really knock your socks off. Okay, you guys, you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.